Welcome to this, the last chapter of this Hobby Horse Masterclass. In today's chapter we're actually finishing our hobby horse by attaching the stick. I don't think there's a lot more to say. Let's simply get right into it. There are a lot of different ways to attach the stick to the hobby horse. You can do it with tape, you can even glue it, or you can use yarn. I think if you use tape, or if you glue it, or do something along those lines, it will actually leave, it will make kind of the end of your, or the opening of your hobby horse here look a little rough. Like if you take the tape away, there will be kind of these rests of, kind of glue or the sticky part of the tape. Or if you simply glue this to the stick, then, when you take that away, it will look kind of rough down here. However, if you use yarn, I'd say that's kind of like the most friendly way of attaching the stick to the hobby horse, because when you take the yarn away, there aren't going to be any rests kind of left on this part of the hobby horse, except for maybe some wrinkles from that the yarn makes. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I attach the stick to the hobby horse. So I have a stick here. This is about, what could this be, maybe 50 centimeters long, and the length of the stick kind of depends on how tall you are, how much of a stick you want sticking out. I'll simply go ahead and just insert this stick now into the hobby horse, and I'm gonna aim for getting the stick kind of like this in the hobby horse. So in the middle of this part here, that's the most important thing, and you want it to be kind of in this height. If it's too high up, chances are that with time the stick is gonna move further and further up, and it's actually gonna start poking out here at the top of the horse. If it's too far forward like this part might become a little deformed, and if it's too far back like this, I just feel like it feels like your hobby horse becomes way too heavy here in the front part. So just aim for the middle, both from this way, and you also want it to be in the middle when you look at it from the front. Because if you kind of insert the stick a little bit on, an angle like this, when you ride your horse, it's actually going to feel like it's falling to one side, which is quite unpleasant, especially if you're looking to ride dressage. That's going to be the stick is very important when you're riding dressage, because you want the horse to always you want the weight to be evenly spread out. And you only get that when you put the stick in, precisely right or straight. So I'm gonna go ahead and try here. And if you have a stick where one end is a little more pointier than the other, I'd say use the pointier side to, lead you in here. So I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna look and I'm gonna position it, in the middle where I want it. And then I'm gonna hold the hobby horse against myself and just kind of twist a little like this. And we already inserted the stick in the stuffing stage just to try and test how it felt. So I already got a little bit of you could call it a groove that I'm going after. So right now, when I'm holding, I really hope you can see that. You see it? Now it's not completely straight. Like if I balance it, now it's standing straight. You can tell, especially here at the bottom, that the stick is not in the middle. So I'm gonna go ahead and correct that. So I'm gonna take it out a little bit, position it so that it goes the other way, and then keep sticking it in. And then you can also try holding it, and if it feels like right now my horse is not moving anything, which is a very good sign, so I'm just holding it really lightly here with a finger in the bottom. If you're not holding onto the stick, if you're just balancing the stick in your hand like this, you can actually feel if the stick is center or if it's kind of crooked in some way. So if you're just balancing the stick like this and the horse is not moving, it means that the stick is in the center. However, if you're just balancing the stick and the horse swings to the side like this, like if this is the natural position for the horse to be in, that means that the stick is inserted in a crooked way, or vice versa, like this. But if you balance it and it stops right here, that means that the stick is in the middle. Great, first step done. So when you have the stick in your hobby horse like this, we're gonna move on and actually fasten this little strap of fabric to the stick. So I'm just gonna grab my yarn here. I went for red today because that's what I had. Take quite a long piece of yarn. I'm gonna cut it off. And so I start by taking this around the back and then making a knot. Just a simple knot to kind of, you know, get a start somewhere. So like that. And I only make a simple knot so that it's easy to take, you know, take this knot up again and redo it if you have to. And I wrap that around this way. And then I take this string and I go the other way. So now I'm actually gonna stand the horse up like this. And you see now that I have a bit of a weird shape going on here. And that is because there's actually stuffing that's going all the way down into this opening flap here. So what I'm gonna do is, this is not gonna work. Like, you cannot wrap the yarn around this part. So this weird little bump is gonna be here if you don't do anything about it. So I actually don't want that to be there. So I'm gonna take the string off again, and I'm actually gonna push the stuffings further into the horse in order to get rid of this bump. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take, so this flap that's kind of coming out here, I'm gonna hold on to that and pull that downwards like this. And now I'm gonna take this longer piece of string, and while I'm pulling down, I'm gonna go around the stick like this. I'm spinning the hobby horse. And at the same time, I'm kind of, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm kind of angling the string up while I'm spinning, so that we're actually getting into the top here. And I'm pulling quite hard here as I'm going, because I really want the stick to, you know, to stick to the hobby horse. So I'm gonna do a couple more laps up here. And now I'm gonna start moving down. So what I'm doing is I'm just, instead of holding the thread straight and spinning, I'm gonna angle it a little, or have it positioned a little further down, so that as I go, the string is now gonna start kind of spiraling downwards. And when you have reached the end of your thread here, you're going to want to have, you know, have gone kind of up and down maybe twice. And I have not been very detailed when I did this job. You can see that there's a little bit of fabric shining through it some places, but that's fine to me. And so when you reach the end here, so I don't have that much fabric or like string left, I'm just gonna wrap it around a couple of more times. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna grab a needle with a bigger eye. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm actually gonna, you know, fasten now this kind of loose thread to the stick itself. So I'm gonna thread this through, right? And when I have threaded the needle through, then I'm just gonna spin it one more time. And I hope you can see this now, but I'm actually taking the needle and I'm pulling it through. So I'm just like, you know, threading it through here diagonally with the string. And I pull that through. Looking great. And now I just lost my thread, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that one again. And I do this maybe 2 or 3 times, so that, you know, you feel that your string is really attached to the stick. And this will give you a really seamless, nice stick attachment to your hobby horse. Alright, perfect. And when you've done that 2 or 3 times, then you should just be left with a tiny, tiny little piece of yarn there, which I will simply go ahead and cut off, like that. And there you have it. It's actually not much harder than that. Now you have a lovely, lovely stick attachment here to your hobby horse. As you can see, it's very nice and responsive. So this is what I like to use for competitions. I really also prefer this grip over a tape grip, for example, or a stick that's fastened with glue. And with that, we have reached the end of this chapter and also this Hobby Horse Masterclass. I want to thank you all for following this masterclass, and I hope to see you again in the future.